When can I see you again? So crypto vlog for May 21st, 20. I have to say May the 21st or May 21, right? That's right. May the 21st, 2026, year of our crypto lords. So I wish I had my selfie stick, but it honestly doesn't matter. This, whatever. Maybe in the old days when you only had 1x, you didn't have half x, the third camera lens right there. Right there, you see it? You see it? Oh, wow, I didn't realize I could hold my finger over the bottom. Wow, that's interesting. You can hold your finger over the bottom and nothing will happen. I mean, it won't block the bottom lens, number 3. 17 Pro. So, just briefly, iPhone prices. Like, I haven't checked in a while, but there's so many iPhones, and now people are upgrading every like 3 years. Before it was like in the old days it was like every year you gotta get a new phone, and now it's like every 2 to then they said every 2 to 3 years. Now people are having their phones for like 5 years. Some people that aren't on their phones that much or don't mind the battery life being shitty, or they're at home all the time, they can keep their phones for 10 years like the iPhone 6s. But yeah, it costs nothing to upgrade, like $200. A lot of mobile carriers will just give you the phone with the trade-in of an old phone, like the older model. Like, I don't know if they'll give you the newer model, but the older, like iPhone 15s. They don't even have those. They don't even have the iPhone 16s. They would give you the iPhone 17s. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, prices, the 17 Pro Max, I didn't check, but the 16 Pro Max, last year's model, it was going for like, still going for $700 used. But new, think about the new prices. I think it was like $1,099, $1,100 plus tax. This is U.S. prices. I don't know how it is. Maybe a little higher in your currency or euro. Maybe like $1,000 or $900 plus tax. Yeah, so it's retained. It's only down like 30% year over year. And then like the 15 Pro is $600 and the 14 Pro is $500 and so on. So these phones are still retaining their value. So if you're a reseller, you're going to get a lot of upgraders that are upgrading from the 13, 14, and 15. So you can still sell the 13 Pro. Sorry, I was quoting the max price. I'm sorry. 13 Pro, which is always $100 more. So 13 Pros you can resell. Make $50, $100, depending on when you buy them. So yeah, the resale game is probably high. The problem is the supply is so damn high of everything. You probably can't stack hundreds of phones, and if you do, you're gonna have to make like $30, $50 on each just to get rid of them all. But that doesn't make sense because there's the worldwide market of everyone reselling phones. So why would it matter if you have hundreds of phones versus thousands in the resale? It always seemed like there was a limited supply on eBay, at least on that top page. But people are always buying phones. So I don't know how, with all the phones in the world, how I was able to sell, like, on my record day, 43 phones. But that's the way it is. So let's jump from phones to crypto, okay? And we'll talk about life. So first of all, just briefly, life. Some guy was telling me a few years ago, like 10 years ago, he met a guy like 15 years ago. He's like, how you're in a new car every day? How do you have so many cars? Like a luxury car or exotic car. And he said, I own 4 blocks on this street downtown in the heart of the city. And it's like, okay, that makes sense. If you own 4 blocks, you own 100 buildings. Or did he own the buildings? Maybe. But at least he owned the property. So probably. And then he said, you buy one property, that's how you get rich, folks. You buy one property, you never sell. And then you use the collateral from that property to take out a loan to buy another property and keep buying. As long as you're in an area that's developed, like a populated city that people are not going to suddenly leave because of war, nuclear war, or famine. Maybe. They didn't even leave Wuhan, right? The Wuhan virus. But they're still going to be there, and they're going to build. Like somebody was saying, there was like a $20 billion government project in Tokyo to reclaim the few kilometers of shoreline to fill it in. It's like, wow, they really care about property in major cities. Of course, Tokyo, one of the largest cities per capita. I think growing up in school, we learned it was the highest populated per capita, but now it's not. It's obviously Gaza. Can I say Gaza? Speaking of Gaza, that video of the what was it? The war minister, war minister for Israel. He was condemned for humiliating the Freedom Flotilla protesters into Israel. Well, that was big, whatever that was. So most of the snakes, there are a few snakes coming out because it is warm. I got out of my house after 7:30, so at the park. It's after 8 o'clock, so there are little snakes. We're starting to get summer. We're about a month out. Well, actually today we're officially a month out from summer, the solstice. So the transition is always on I think I read it was always between the 20th and the 22nd. And this year it might have been on the 20th. March 20th, the first day of spring, so we should get summer on June 20th. The solstice is probably June 21st. I don't know. Look it up. It's always between the 20th and 22nd, depending on the rotation. The Earth? Revolution of the Earth around the sun. It took me a while to figure out the difference between rotation and revolution. Rotation is the spin, the Earth's spin on its tilted axis. And revolution is how a planet moves around a star, or how our star moves around the galaxy, etc. Or how a moon moves around a planet. That's not, these birds, whatever, mockingbirds, they sound similar to rattlesnakes, but the rattlesnake is continuous versus interrupted rattle. I mean, it's a lot longer. It's nice to be out. Yeah, so but anyway, back to the story. The guy, extremely wealthy. Imagine owning 100 stores and buildings, like 3-story, not super like 20-story apartment buildings. I mean, maybe a few of them were apartment buildings. I don't know. And I said, when you're that wealthy, billions, like your life is only marginally better. And then my friend chimes in. My friend who probably has like few million, maybe like $5 million. He said, better, it's not better. Every rich guy I know is extremely stressed out. You're always worrying about your property. Depreciation, how to avoid depreciation of your assets, what to invest in, what's up and coming thing. And then you look at the richest guy on the planet. Who's the richest guy? I'll give you 3 seconds. Yep, Elon Musk. Is he one of the most annoying guys? You either love him, hate him. I feel like he's become incredibly polarizing since he's become CEO of X, and he's tweeting all the time, posting all the time. But Twitter, such a dumb name. Tweet. But I still like tweeting. Did we lose a dog? Oh, no, there he is. I'm always worried about these white dogs. He survived 3 coyote attacks, 2 in the last year. So, yeah, we got a little water. This water's going to be dried up in a month. It's murky right now. But I'm surprised I don't see any coyotes. It's early enough that the coyotes should be out. But they like to hide. So, oh, we just lost another one. Black dog disappeared. She'll turn up. So I think she's still at that bush back there. Wow. You're further back than I thought. 50 feet, 15 yards or so. 50. Yeah, so your life isn't better just because you're weird to look at you, Elon Musk. Like, his life isn't better than your life. Why is it better? Unless you're broke and struggling to pay the bills and super stressed out. Oh, there's a little bunny. He's gone, actually, into the bush. But it's the mental game, right? You got to be healthy, wealthy. I actually said healthy, wealthy, and health, wealth, and satisfied. What was I? Happy, healthy, wealthy, and happy. But there's a new. The term is healthy, wealthy, and wise. It's like a song. Make me healthy, wealthy, and wise. But you just want all your bits and pieces to keep working, especially your mind, right? And then you want other bits to keep working through your old age as you get older. So remember, what you can't buy, at least not yet, when you're old, you can't buy years. That's it. You can extend like the worst years of your life, but you can't really extend your peak. I mean, with certain sports medicine, you can. If you're an athlete, you can extend your prime or the later prime years, your twilight years of your career. But remember, you can't turn back the clock yet. I mean, we're doing all this technology. It's AI, but like, yeah, it's helping with medicine, but we haven't seen it help. It's helping with surgeries. People are saying you're healing faster from surgeries. Okay, but show me where you're erasing the time. And what is it? How do we erase your biological clock? We have to go down to the cellular level. So at the basic fundamentals of life, of physics, energy, kinetic energy, where your energy is adding to your biological clock. Every energy expenditure, everything you eat, digestion, it's making you older. Every time you breathe, you're becoming older. Your body's wearing. So we're trying to break it down to the cellular level, the mitochondrial DNA, the DNA level. But we can't, because it's built into our DNA, our lifespan. We can't change it. So, but there are certain cellular improvements. But the problem, like gene altering DNA, you can't do it. The genes encode the DNA, but can you replace genes? I have heard of gene replacement therapy, but does that? How many genes would you have to replace to the human genome? I remember in high school it was mapped in like 1999. That was weird. So many sounds, but there's one sound I just have to watch for. It's the sound of the snake, the rattlesnake. Oh, you gonna get your boo-boo. You tired, huh? What happened? That's okay. She's getting old. Sign of life. So we can't replace enough genes, genetic material, like to make you into a monkey or a lizard or a bacteria where you only have like half the genes, or a plant. So yeah, we're trying to figure out the genes that do everything, that the aging genes. Okay, there's a ton of them, obviously, but we age because there's no inherent advantage for living forever genetically in terms of a biological standpoint. You live forever. Okay, what's the point? It's the selfish gene. I think that was Richard Dawkins. I never read it though. Why do we need to live forever? Just for selfishness, for greed. We don't. We just have to pass down what we can do, which is still selfish. We pass down our ideas, our beliefs to our children, to our offspring, which is what all animals and plants do. Plants, not really beliefs, but and lower animals, reptiles, birds, right? Doesn't matter. The mammals are the high animals. That's a dog, actually, not a coyote. So anyway, the goal isn't to live forever unless you're selfish. That would be cool. Like, it's always cool to do this. Like, we go through our whole lives being selfish. Like, look around, we don't have to be. So you're like, you know what? I feel like being kind today. I feel like donating some of the money that I made today. I feel like doing it. It's necessary to continue my existence that I donate money and give to others and uplift human civilization, right? No. So the good news is, if you hate Trump, he's 81 years old, right? No. If you hate him, like, did we celebrate his 80th birthday? I swear he was like 79 forever. And I thought he was getting older and older, but he wasn't. He was just staying 79. Maybe he was 78 then. I don't know. But, like, when was his 80th birthday? But he'll be, I thought he was going to be 86 by the time his term expired, but not. He'll be like 83, maybe. I don't even remember his birthday, like any of his birthdays. Like 2025, he should have had a birthday, right? He was elected on January 20th, is inaugurated. Like 2026, he should be having a birthday. Like, why? It's one of those things you just don't remember. It seems like, I guess if you were a news trader, you might remember because you're watching the news all day. Ew, coyote poop. So this is a coyote diet. So what are those nuts? Pistachio nuts. This is basically what they're eating. The solid part is fiber, a little meat, but that's just what they're eating mostly. Let's see if I could see what one of these nuts are. Looks like a bean almost. It must be from a plant. What? It looks like a pistachio, doesn't it? But I don't think you can break it up. So weird. I'll look up, like, what are those nuts in coyotes' diets. It could just be from the plants when they eat the plants. Because their diet's mostly plants and rodents, mice, rats. Sometimes, but mostly mice. Once in a while they'll get a big kill, but rabbits. Rabbits are basically the biggest thing they're going to hunt. Though there's not enough deer for them to take them down. There are a few deer here, but not enough to make it a staple of their diet. No bears. There's bears like in the larger forested areas, but not this area. There's not enough space because of the separation. Oh, there's also mountain lions. The coyotes aren't taking down mountain lions. Because of the separation, there's so many roads. It's a limited space for the larger animals like bears around here. But when you have miles and miles, kilometers, square kilometers, acres and acres, thousands of acres, you're gonna have the larger animals like bears or get to Africa, lions, cheetahs. Watch this dog. That's just her nature, to go up to other dogs and bark at them. Okay, so that's life. I tried to explain life, and then like everything that happens within life, like being selfish and trying to make money, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, you have a biological need to leave wealth to your children, to make sure they're healthy, to want them to be healthy. But with less and less people having children, multiple children, right? Unless you're poor. Why are people having more children in general? Because they're poor? Well, before it was they needed them to work the land. Like, you had a lot of land. You couldn't manage it all by yourself. Maya, I don't know what you're chasing, but there's a cliff there. Come on. Because we didn't have as much people on the planet, so you just had a bunch of land, like from here, say like from here all the way to the top of that hill. That would be all my land, and then to the other side, this would be all my land. Like, I might have a couple neighbors, but and I couldn't work it all by myself, especially if I wanted to plant agriculture. When we became farmers, agricultural society versus hunter-gatherers. So yeah, you need a lot of kids. And then nowadays, the Industrial Revolution, 1800s, we didn't need to have so many kids. People switched from agricultural jobs, rural jobs, to factory and city jobs. And for that reason, you didn't have to have as many kids. You didn't need to work the land. You were still the same broke. I mean, you had a little bit more money because your job was steadier. You had a fixed income. But you didn't have any land to work. Your food was provided for you by being in the city, by the supply chain, the food supply chain. So your government provided your food, basically. The government subsidy on food is so high, and in return, like farmers get up to 50% subsidies. In return, we pay taxes, right? That's the trade-off. So Jeff Bezos just said 50% of people shouldn't, the lowest 50% shouldn't pay income. Yeah, might be true. But you always want the middle class, the largest class that makes the most money to pay the most taxes. And yeah, so you didn't have to have kids. So people are still having kids. They're like, well, I like to have kids, and God says be fruitful and multiply. So we're still going to have kids. And then they're like, we have a bunch of kids crammed in an apartment. Like, life was hard. Or a small 2-bedroom house, 1-bedroom house. Life was hard when we lived on a farm, but we needed those kids to work the farm. And now we really don't need to feed all these kids. So let's stop having a lot of kids. So they did that. But then you look to other countries that are still transitioning to the major city life. There are a lot of people in cities. So those people aren't having as many kids, but it's still in all the rural areas. I was looking at the branch, like, what is it? Something hiding on it. You still have all the kids. People are still having a ton of kids, especially in the religious areas, even in the cities. If you're devoutly religious, Orthodox, I know that there's Orthodox Judaism, Catholicism is usually the stricter one. If you're a strict Catholic, you might be having like 8 kids. My housekeeper actually has 13 brothers and sisters, so her parents had 14 kids. If you do the math, 13 plus 1. She's from, I always get this mixed up. Countries, Peru, no, not Peru. One of those countries, Guatemala, no, Honduras, who knows? I don't know, maybe I'll ask what they remember. So anyway, so we don't need as many kids. And that's why the people that are from, I want to say like Africa, Middle East, South Asia, like India, are they known for having a lot of kids? Like, when you think about India, even though the population's so high, I don't think like they're having a ton of kids. Same with China. They really don't have a ton of kids unless they're rural. Yeah, all these areas, the Horn of Africa, Somalia, Somaliland, which isn't really recognized by Somalia. In a lot of countries, especially in the Middle East, they don't recognize Somaliland. Horn, Eritrea. What's the major country, the biggest country in the Horn? I want to say like Ethiopia. Is that? No, Ethiopia is right next to the Horn. Well, would it be considered part of the horn? I don't know. There's a country that's pretty big.